Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. 14 games on Tuesday, 28 teams playing. I surmise about 15 of them are trying to win here on Tuesday's big slate in the NBA. Going to be going through my best bets that I already have because we've got some player props, I should say, up nice and early. So getting ahead of those with you right before we watch this UConn National Championship game. Definitely want to subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along since we have so many games and there's not props up for every single one. Going to be finishing up all the picks that I have here on Tuesday. 5:30 p.m. Eastern is when that live stream goes. You guys bring your bets as well. I want to see what you're looking at. We go through it together. I show you some of the process and we get into that. But let's take a quick look at how we did on Saturday and Sunday. 2.3 units up total on the weekend after a really good Sunday, up 3.5 units, portioned about correctly. So on the weekend as a total, 2.3 because we had a rough Saturday, losing 1.2 units. This is the Saturday recap right here. And then you can also see we've got Sunday right here where the units were correctly portioned on Sunday. So we made sure we came up with some nice plus money there. On the season now, up 32.1 units total. Don't have that graphic up for you guys. I'll have everything there for you on the live stream on Tuesday. So let's jump right actually into those best bets. Kicking it off with Draymond Green rebounds, going over 6.5, minus 120 on DraftKings. This is ladderable, and I'll definitely be talking about that on the live stream on Tuesday in terms of going for some alt rebound props for day Draymond Green as well, because I do think he's going to show up versus this Lakers team in a game that is filled with two teams that are both going to be trying in this one as they're actually battling for that 9 seed in the Western Conference. With Draymond playing this team, he's going to try. He's going to go completely balls to the wall. He's gone over in his last 3 versus them all this season. That includes one game where he only played 21 minutes as well because that game was pretty much over by the fourth quarter. Dubs actually handled that game pretty well. So he only had to play the 21 and still got 7 rebounds that he would need to get over this prop right here. He's gone over against them 10 of his last 13, including that playoffs last year. And he's always guarding AD. So the minutes are going to be there for him no matter what. He's well rested. He only played a few 21 minutes or so against Utah last game, which is also now a couple days off for him. So he's a well-rested dude going up against AD. Should be good for at least 33 to 35 minutes in this one, if not more if they need him. And because he's guarding AD, he's really close to the basket. It's just that simple. I mean, he's normally pretty close to the basket, but if he were on like LeBron or somebody that was starting out on the perimeter, I might be a little bit more worried about it. But he's guarded AD for the majority of the time that they've played. These two teams have met this season. He's the only dude tasked with guarding him really, because Trace Jackson-Davis cannot handle him, and Kevon Looney has kind of played his way off of the court at this point, isn't getting very many minutes. So you might actually see some Kevon Looney, but not going to eat into Draymond, who I am considering taking the 10 rebounds for Draymond as well. Not necessarily a double-double because I don't even know if he's going to get to 10 points, much less 10 assists, but the rebounds are good, and I think I'll be laddering that for you guys on the stream on Tuesday. Let's jump into this Knicks game with the Bulls, a little rematch from last week, I should say. And I'm kicking it off with Josh Hart over 4.5 assists. And I think this is just plain wrong. Like, I think this should be at about 6.5 assists. So with that extra edge there, I'm going to go ahead and take it for a full unit, minus 128 on FanDuel. He's gone over this in 8 of his last 10 and 4 of his last 5. He's been playing a ton of minutes, right? 34 at least. Sometimes he plays 40. In 9 of the last 10, he's gone that he's at least played 34 minutes. He's gone over. And this is a little bit skewed because he got ejected in the last game versus the Bulls team last week after he basically kicked Javonte Green in the face and only played 11 minutes and got ejected in the second quarter, right? If you do exclude that game, in the last 4 that he's played of the last 5, he's got 12.8 potential assists per game. I was a little bit worried that maybe OG Anunoby's return to the lineup has somehow thwarted his assists and what we've been seeing from Josh Hart in terms of getting a ton of dimes. In fact, most on the team after Jaylen Brunson in a lot of games had more than Jaylen Brunson over the last 3 weeks or so. And I'm not really seeing anything because OG has played in 2 of these games that he's gone pretty cleanly over 4.5 assists like he needs tonight or on Tuesday night. So I'm really good with the Josh Hart assists, and I'm just going to roll right into Jaylen Brunson assists as well, over 7.5 for him. And I'm also, the assists are at 7.5. I'm combining them with the points and assists. I should be clear. The points and assists for JB are 35.5. The assists are 7.5 for better juice if you do want it. But I threw the points in there because our dude is taking like 25 shots per game over the last 5. I can't comfortably leave points out of any prop that I would take with him when he's taking a third almost of the team shots, easily a quarter of them, more than that, right? About 30% of the shots that for his team. His usage rate is above that as well. So, I mean, this is just a situation where Chicago might be pretty good at limiting point guard points, and actually Alex Caruso is questionable in this game, might actually not play. So that's also why I like adding the points to the assist, because when Caruso's in, he helps force the ball out of point guards' hands, which is actually why they allow the 4th most assists to point guards on the season. And they allow a ton of assists in general, to be honest, the 8th most on the season overall to every player on the other team. Jaylen has 15 potential assists in his last 10. So even when he's not playing Chicago, he's been well above the potential assists that I would want for him to get. Well, not well, but just enough above the potential assists that I would want to make sure I was getting in order to bet on over with his assists. And that includes against Chicago last game, which had Caruso in it. And that was 11 assists on 19 potential assists. So a double-double, all that stuff is in play for him. I just combined the two together because I think he's good for 30 points, in which case I only need 6 assists, technically, not even the 7.5. So if you do want to get some better juice on a bet for just over points and some alt points and stuff like that, I support it. It's at like 28.5 points right now. Totally fine with that. I put the two together because he's been doing them so much, and the likelihood of a point guard getting dimes against this Bulls team is pretty high. Sticking around this game one more time for OG and Anunoby. We're taking an under for OG, 23.5 PRA. That's minus 122 for a full unit. You could also take the under on the points. I think 15.5 is high, and that's a really good reason for why I like fading the total here. He also hasn't really been getting very many dimes or boards, to be honest with you. He's gone under this number in 5 straight. Obviously, the last 2 have been since he returned from injury, and he's gone cleanly under in those, even though he's been playing. He played 37 minutes in that last game against the Bucks, and granted, that was because he needed to guard Giannis, so I don't even think you put him at 37 in this one against this Bulls squad. The only reason you'd be scared of OG going over this stuff and getting the points is because of the spot up game, and that's what he does. He's a spot up shooter. The Bulls give up points to spot up players, a good amount of them on the season, because they like to gamble, right? And that's how you get assists for point guards, finding shooting guards and wings who are going to be open for the spot up stuff. That said, he's averaging 8.8 points on 10.8 field goals in these last 5 that he's played, and that's with 34 minutes, which I think is a good projection for him at the most, to be honest with you. The rebound chances, not really there. With the Knicks in general, he's at 7.5 rebound chances, 4.5 boards per game, and he's right at 4.5 boards in this one. So I threw it in there because, I mean, the likelihood of him going over, he's gone over this, or less. The likelihood of him going under is high. He's gone under the 4.5 boards like 70% of the time over his last 10 games as well, right? Plus you add the assists in there, which just not something that he does. When he gets the ball, he's either shooting from the corner or he's going into the lane from the corner on the baseline and driving all the way to the basket. Chicago's bad defending that too. So like they are bad at defending his preferences, his play types, where he shoots from, all that. But you add the assists, you add the rebounds, even if he gets the 16 points, which I don't like him to, I really don't see him getting over the RA, the rebounds and assists as well. So really comfortable with an under for OG to the tune of a full unit on his points, rebounds, and assists. Finally, an over for PJ Washington, who clawed over this with the overtime that we got there in the Houston game, for those of you who were on the stream on Sunday. But this is a much better matchup against his former team, so there's a bit of a revenge factor, which I'm gonna buy into here. And the question is which PJ Washington do you believe in? Do you believe in the one who's played the last 5 games with this Mavs squad, or do you believe in the one you've seen the majority of the time since he's come to the Mavs prior to these last 5 games? Because in the last 5, he's at about 27 points per game, almost 14 field goal attempts, and 52% from the field, including really good numbers from deep as well, almost 49% from 3, which is really what you bank on here. The whole time he's played with the Mavs, it's been 26 games total, including these last 5, but in those 26, 12 points per game, 10.5 field goals. So everything drops, and the field goal percentage has been terrible, right? 42.8%. So it's really about which one you believe in, but I'm going to add the revenge factor and the fact that Charlotte is so terrible versus power forwards and where he wants to shoot from. Plus, they're terrible versus the three-point shot. They've been given up a ton of three-point attempts over their last 10 games, and over the last 15 games, really, and a ton of makes as a result, with 5th most makes, 6th most attempts. So they've been a really bad three-point defense, and PJ's been shooting about 8 threes a game. So there's no good juice at over 1.5 threes. It's like minus 190. I just went for the points, but I added the rebounds because they're also terrible at collecting rebounds. They do have a very bad offensive effective field goal percentage due to the Hornets, leading to a lot of defensive boards for guys like PJ, who's upped his rebound chances to about 13.5 in these last 5 games. So I'm going to believe in the recent PJ that we've had here, 5 games in a row of him playing really, really well, only going under once in that first game against Houston, where he had 18 PR in that one. Everywhere else, we're looking at a really solid number here. So taking the over for him and adding the boards to it. And that is all the time that I have for you guys in this one. Definitely going to have a few more bets. There's just too many games with too much value going around right now. Going to be a volume day for us betting. So make sure you do subscribe to that page. Continue to to follow along and check out these videos that I'm bringing you the night before games, each and every night with that early value where I can find it. And then we go into that live stream every single weekday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, including Tuesday here as we get back into the NBA after a little break. Go Huskies. Until I see y'all next, happy betting.